Every story appears ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
From Lagos, Nigeria, it's 9:45 p.m. Hello and welcome to CoreTV Primetime News, broadcasting live from our Lagos studios. I am Abosedi Omowi, and here are top stories tonight. Many thanks for joining us tonight. Now to the news in full. President Muhammadu Buhari's advanced party is expected to leave Nigeria tonight to the United Kingdom ahead of the president's arrival on Tuesday, May the 10th. The president's delegation to the summit will include the Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, and the acting chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Ibrahim Magu. The summit is holding in the British capital on Thursday, May the 12th. A pre-summit conference of development partners, the Commonwealth Enterprise and Investment Council, Transparency International, and other civil society groups will also hold on Wednesday, May the 11th. At the pre-summit conference, President Buhari is billed to deliver a keynote address titled "Why We Must Tackle Corruption Together." President Buhari is expected to urge the international community to move faster on the dismantling of safe havens for the proceeds of corruption and the return of stolen funds and assets to other countries of origin. And in all the news, a call has gone out to Nigerians to do a soul searching with a view to seeking out a permanent solution to the epileptic power supply throughout Nigeria. The Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, while addressing a gathering in Lagos, outlines the plans of the federal government towards achieving not just increment, but steady and eventual uninterrupted power supply. Victoria Solomon has more. Moving on, Housing, Babatunde Fashola sustainable infrastructure for developing power, good and network across the country and affordable housing to the Nigerian citizenry. The minister has equally unveiled how challenges on the path to achieving this can be converted to opportunities by investors for economic growth. Fashola, while addressing investors in Lagos, also declared that after many years of errors and unsustainable efforts, the ship of state has been steered on the right course, outlining strategies as ministry would adopt to achieve a better life for Nigerians. Fashola calls on local producers of electricity meters to at least meet a significant local content participation that would help small and medium enterprises especially participate in supplying the meters and developing capacity and jobs, adding that there are still 3 million consumers who need to be metered.
That power has become a source of worry to Nigerians all over is no news. What many are eager to know, however, is when and how the prevailing outage will ease out. Minister for Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, at a forum in Lagos, has rolled out the objective of President Muhammadu Buhari's administration towards an improved electricity supply.
This government is committed to improving the power situation. Please mark my words, incremental power, one after the other. And this for me is the way to go. then perhaps if we have achieved incremental power, we should then look for steady power. And from steady power, we can then seek to achieve uninterrupted power.
Fashola notes that Nigerians must change their attitudes to arrest the trend of shortage or outright outage of power.
We've erected distribution poles characterized by poor quality workmanship, so those poles have to be replaced because we did them badly. To some of you who have done government contracts and through those contracts, search your conscience. We must also look at cable theft. Those who have vandalized transformers, and those consumers who also pay for people to help them divert their meter so that it does not read accurately. Please, those are some of the things and many more that we must leave behind.
Nigerians have also been employed to believe that the set goals of the ministry saddled with solving electricity problems are achievable.
I don't have any doubt whatsoever, like you and I, and like you and so many other people here, that he has the capacity to achieve the objectives of the federal government as far as power is concerned.
I think that we should be a little bit more patient. We can talk about this time next year. I think that would be a fair assessment to see what they've done.
All hands are on deck to see that Nigerians enjoy uninterrupted power supply, as a concerted effort of the government and the citizens is expected to bring the desired solution in the long run. Victoria Solomon, CoreTV News, Lagos.
A report there on the Minister of Power Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, speaking on permanent solutions to the problem of epileptic power supply. The minister also speaks on work development, saying that the federal government has upgraded the budget to finance infrastructure, adding that it is important to implement the budget and use the finances properly. And on the issue of affordable housing for Nigerians, Fashola declares that the ministry is working on a Nigerian housing model that has an answer for geopolitical cultural differences whilst looking the same. He says it is a joint effort of experts in the private sector who worked for the ministry as volunteers and from the civil servants in the housing ministry who represent a cultural diversity. Moving on now, the journey to the complete and nationwide digitization of broadcast signals with the pilot scheme launched in Jos, Plateau State. According to the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, the launch will be a game changer not only for the average television viewer in Jos and Nigeria, but on the economic front. Correspondent Kozem Kasali has more, and this look at the project and what it will achieve for Nigeria.
When in 2006, the federal government started taking steps to meet the deadline set by the International Telecommunications Union for the digitization of broadcast signals in Nigeria, with the formation of the Digi team led by Edward Amana, little did the members know that this will only come to fruition after a decade and 2 missed deadlines. The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, since his assumption of office, put the achievement of the digital switchover milestone at the top of his agenda, and according to experts, it is a case of putting your money where your mouth is. The minister, having achieved this, listed the obvious advantage of the digital switchover on the average television viewer as including a better video and sound fidelity, and the freeing up of spectrum since the bandwidth being used by a television station for the current analog broadcast of signals will be enough for 14 TV stations in digital broadcasting.
We as a ministry, we must remain focused and we must make sure that we do not miss the deadline for digitization. And that is what informed our efforts.
On the economic front, the federal government will end up making more from the digital switchover than whatever may be spent in terms of subsidizing the set-top boxes. The manufacturers of the set-top boxes, according to the minister, will also, on completion of the setting up of the 13 factories by them, employ thousands of Nigerians.
All licensed set-top manufacturers have been mandated to establish manufacturing companies in Nigeria to produce the boxes locally after importing the first set for this pilot scheme.
The Nigerian free-to-air TV market is expected to be the largest of its kind in the world, according to the acting director general of the National Broadcasting Commission.
Tonight's launch is the first practical demonstration of the reality of the DSO in the country, wherein 15 channel operators have been selected to operate in Jos using the set-top boxes and transmitting through one of the licensed signal distributors, ITS.
The days ahead will prove to be challenging, but according to those involved in the process, they are ready for the challenges ahead as the train moves from Jos to Abuja, Lagos and other more populated areas of the country, and the nation cannot afford to fail as the June 2017 deadline looms. Kazim Kasali, CoreTV News, Abuja.
To security matters now, the Defense Headquarters has issued a strong warning to persons or groups seeking to engage in acts capable of causing a breakdown of law and order. The warning was contained in a statement by the spokesman for the Defense Headquarters, Brigadier General Rabi Abubakar. The groups were not mentioned in the statement, but the military advised Nigerians to refrain from taking laws into their hands and avoid actions that may cause breach to harmonious coexistence. He advises the general public to ignore inciting pictures, videos and statements posted in some social media platforms, which he says are confirmed to be the creation of photoshops with the intention of causing disharmony and divisions among different nationalities. General Abubakar further stresses that the military and the security agencies would continue to sustain the current tempo against terrorists, all thieves, cattle rustlers, and other forms of criminalities. Now, troops of 26th and 223 Battalions, Army Headquarters Strike Group, and Armed Forces Special Forces have continued offensive operations in furtherance of Operation Crackdown. The groups have cleared remnant of Boko Haram in Isa and Njima general area. A statement from Army Headquarters says, although they did not encounter any Boko Haram terrorists, there are noticeable fresh footprints, motorcycle and bicycle tire marks in the seemingly abandoned places. The troops came across and recovered 8 abandoned vehicles belonging to Boko Haram terrorists. The advancing troops also cleared all Boko Haram terrorist hideouts along the way, including their camps at Bula Buba and its environs, where they recovered 1 Hilux, 1 Canter truck, 15 AK-47 rifle magazines, a 60mm high explosive bomb, 200 G3 rifle magazines, 3 Browning machine gun tripod stands, and a 60mm mortar bipod, among others. The Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority has banned the launching of remotely piloted aircraft, RPA, and the Nigerian airspace without the permit of the authority and the Office of the National Security Advisor. In a statement, the General Manager, Public Relations, NCAA, Sam Adurogboye, says the move is part of the safety guidelines issued by the NCAA to drone operators following the proliferation of the technology in the country. He discloses that in recent times, RPA UAV, that is unmanned aerial vehicles, have been deployed for commercial and recreational purposes in the country without adequate security clearance and are accompanied with security. The NCAA official says operators must ensure strict compliance with the conditions stipulated in their permit, adding that violators will be sanctioned according to the dictates of the Nigerian Civil Aviation Regulations. The Assistant Inspector General of Police in charge of the Maritime Command, Muhammad Katina, says it will no longer be business as usual for pipeline vandals, smugglers and pirates in the area under his watch. In a statement by the command's public relations officer, Omolola Odutola, the AIG, who recently assumed the leadership of the command, says he had created 2 additional departments comprising men with special training in diving to serve as quick responders. He explains that the command needs to be restructured for better effectiveness in its operations against smugglers, pirates and pipeline vandals, whose activities had increased in recent times. Katina also discloses the plan to partner other security agencies, especially in the training of the men under his command in aquatic life and aquatic combat operations. In other reports, a non-governmental organization, Community Watch of Nigeria, has condemned the May 4 militant attack on Chevron's offshore platform in Warri North, local government area of Delta State. The coordinator of the organization, Samingo Etukakman, expressed the group's displeasure in an interview with journalists on Sunday in the oil town of Ekit, Akwa Ibom State. Etukakman says the reemergence of militancy in the Niger Delta is a sad development and a threat to the unity and progress of the nation. He advises the perpetrators to embrace the amnesty program of the federal government. Recall that the militants, identified as members of Niger Delta Avengers NDA, have already claimed responsibility for the attack on the facility jointly owned by the NNPC and Chevron. The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation has paid the sum of 69.544 billion naira into the Federation account in March. This is contained in the corporation's monthly financial report for March, released in Abuja. It says that amount had brought the total amount paid to the Federation account for domestic crude oil and gas and other receipts from April 2015 to March 2016 to 1.118 trillion naira. It also adds that NNPC also recorded 107.8 billion naira revenue in the month of March against 104.8 billion naira in February. It says the revenue rose marginally by 2.88%, adding that the expenses of the corporation dipped by 12.92% to 112.3 billion naira from 129.0 billion naira recorded in previous month. A breakdown of the financial performance of its subsidiaries shows that the Nigerian Petroleum Development Company, NPDC, Integrated Data Services Limited, IDSL, and National Engineering and Technical Company Limited posted losses of 9.8 billion naira, 469 million naira, and 69 million naira, respectively. The report says the deficit recorded by NPDC in February and March 2016 were due to production shut in, occasioned by vandalism of Okado's export line. You're watching CoreTV Primetime News. Still ahead, Niger State Governor Sani Bello cautions youth against violence. Details of this and other report after this break. Do stay with us.
You know, Angela, that's a very difficult question.
It is difficult to respond to that question.
Angela, that's a great question.
Great question, Angela.
Angela, that is a very great question.
That's a great question, Angela.
Okay, that's a great question.
Yeah, very good question.
That's a good question.
That's a good question.
That's an interesting question.
This is an interesting question you pose.
60 Minutes with Angela. Gain answers to every question you always wanted to ask.
Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on DG360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.
Welcome back. You're still watching CoreTV Primetime News, reaching you live from our Lagos studios. Let's take another look at our top stars. For more on our top stories, all the news and information, kindly visit our social media platforms. Facebook.com/CoreTV News. You may follow on our Twitter handle at CoreTV News MG. We urge you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/CoreTV Space News. Niger State Governor Sani Bello has cautioned youth volunteer groups, especially those affiliated with religious bodies, not to militarize their members, but to operate within the confines of the law. In a statement by his Chief Press Secretary, Jibrin Baba Ndake, the governor discloses that volunteer groups are deviating from their primary function of ensuring orderliness at gatherings, especially during Sunday services and the Friday Jumat prayers, to acquiring military training and practice. He frowns at the trend of using arms and carrying guns, pointing out the need to inculcate the values and virtues of peace into the psyche of the youths. Governor Bello assures Niger State residents of his determination to ensure peace and security in the state, and urges all stakeholders to support government resolve in that direction. The National Primary Healthcare Agency says from the year 2022, Nigeria will no longer be receiving funding from donors due to the rebasing of the budget. The Executive Secretary of the agency, Adil Mohammed, made this known recently in Abuja during deliberations with other Anglophone countries on how to provide funding for immunization exercises in their various countries. Bukola Afeni brings us the report.
The Executive Secretary says Nigeria will not be able to receive funds in 6 years from foreign donors. The country, according to him, needs to look for creative ways of alternate sources of funding.
Immunization is an investment, not an expenditure. And if you look at where we are now and where we'll be by 2022, when the donors will have withdrawn their support, because Nigeria having, Nigeria is no longer a donor-eligible country, considering the rebasing of the economy.
Sabin coordinator enumerates that vaccine immunization is important in eradicating diseases such as measles and polio, and Anglophone countries need to legislate laws that will favor immunization funding.
So it is with immunization the same. You have to keep immunizing, or you're going to get outbreaks again, like polio could come back, measles would come back, we have big outbreaks. So once you do immunize, you keep it going, right? Therefore, it is something a country must provide.
A Sierra Leone legislator says African countries need to come together to legislate laws that will help track budgets and provide appropriate funding for immunization. He says government should implement budgets, especially in the primary health care provision.
We've been working on sustainable immunization financing. And one of the major issues we are here is to exchange ideas on how to come up with legislation on immunization. You cannot have a concrete immunization financing without a law.
The Anglophone African Peer Review will promote effective legislation that will help provide enough funding for budgetary allocation for vaccines. Bukola Afeni, CoreTV News, Abuja.
Still on health, the Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists of Nigeria says the country cannot afford to continually run poorly equipped medical laboratories in the face of increasingly strange diseases around the world. The national president of the body, Toyosi Rahim, discloses that this is part of resolutions reached by the association in Makurdi during the 194th meeting on health-related issues. The scientists advised that the 2016 budget should substantially improve the conditions of the sector, pointing out that the last Ebola and Lassa fever crisis exposed the weakness of research and testing in the country. The National Council of Muslim Youth Organization, NACOMYO, Sokoto State Chapter, has embarked on voluntary prayer and fasting for peace and success of President Muhammadu Buhari's administration. The president of the organization, Aliyu Ibrahim Kiatawa, who disclosed this, however, point out that the organization does not have any link with the president or any of his ministers, nor belong to any political party. He says the members of the group are convinced that Buhari had the ability to liberate the Nigerian masses from the bondage of poverty, insecurity, and bad governance. Kyotawa further discloses that the organization has been sponsoring media campaign to educate the public on the need to also change their attitude and support the government both morally and spiritually. Now, the Petroleum Tanker Drivers (PTD) of the Nigeria Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers (NEPENG) has debunked rumors making the rounds that its members are embarking on a strike action. The national chairman of PTD, Salimon Oladiti, describes the report as false and founded on a figment of imagination of the peddlers. He says the union is dissociating itself from any form of industrial action and enjoins all members to continue in their strive to effectively distribute fuel products across the country. Oladiti commends government effort at ameliorating the hardship faced by Nigerians in the wake of the fuel scarcity, warning that any member that joins in any strike action does so at his own risk. To Kwara State now, where the state governor, Abdul Fattah Ahmed, has given approval for the payment of March and April salaries and pensions of 24,042 workers and pensioners who have been cleared in the ongoing staff verification exercise in the state. In a statement, the secretary to the state government, SSG, Isiaka Gold, says the approval follows the final clearance of the affected workers and pensioners by the Nigerian Interbank Settlement System. Here, the SSG explains that the March and April salaries and entitlements of the workers and pensioners will be paid this week, but point out that 1,427 workers and pensioners found to have submitted invalid bank verification numbers will have their entitlement withheld pending further investigation. The SSG stresses that any worker or pensioner found to be fraudulently collecting salary or pension will not only be made to refund the money, but will also be dealt with according to the law. And in Plateau State, civil servants are resorting to begging the state government to pay salaries owed them for months. Workers in the state are being owed salaries since December, as many of them say they celebrated the last Christmas and Easter celebrations without money. Our Plateau State correspondent brings us a report on their feelings.
Some who are bold enough to speak on camera are asking the state governor, Simon Lalong, to pay their salary arrears so as to cushion the effect of the economic crunch. The Plateau State government has consistently said there is not enough fund in its coffers to pay arrears. But the situation is a bitter pill to swallow for civil servants who are feeling left out of the scheme of things.
I am advising the governor of Plateau State to please see to our plea.
We are praying for the government. You know, things are very difficult for the government. Our call to the government is that they should have mercy on the civil servants.
State chairman of the Nigerian Labour Congress says most of the reasons which led them into embarking on strike actions in the past are still unresolved. Is urging the state government to be more responsive to the plight of the Plateau workers who now almost live as destitute.
We had a lot of challenges over the years. We know the issue of standing salary, non-implementation of minimum wage, promotion, ideas of minimum wage. So many issues are there.
The Plateau State Head of Service says all that is required from the workers is patience, as government is aware of their plight and is making serious efforts to resolve all their grievances, beginning with their salary arrears.
Government is committed to seeing that workers' salaries are not delayed. In the area of welfare too, the governor had directed that all outstanding promotions be released, and that is being done.
Some of the workers accuse the present administration in the state of misplacement of priorities and lacking productive economic ideas in solving the hardship in the state.
And still from the Plateau, the state has for a while now enjoyed relative peace, but some organizations are not taking chances. Faith-based organizations like churches are taking the initiative to put in place tight security to prepare for any eventualities. Our Plateau State correspondent, who has been going round the state capital, reports that most churches now take security issues more seriously. The report.
Although Plateau State has been experiencing relative peace lately, the churches are still putting adequate security measures so as not to be caught off guard. Vehicles are being diverted to alternative routes just to steer intending troublemakers away. Security operatives abound, keeping a close watch as worshippers go about their church business. Some motorists lament the blockade of roads and diversion of vehicles, while others say it is important to forestall any form of attack. Security Committee Secretary of the Church of Christ in Nation Headquarters, Church in Jos, and the Assistant Security Officer, Evangelical Church Winning, all both highlight the importance of being proactive at all times in order to safeguard the lives of worshippers.
This place was once hit, and we don't want to just forget about that, because that is still a stigma in our brain. So we don't want to relent, and we don't want to just stop overnight.
We are being very, very careful, and that's why you can see the road are blocked. There are people that will just come to church to steal vehicles. So we are being careful. We are watching people's vehicle. We are still looking at people's life also in the church.
Although Plateau State was not ravaged by insurgency, it houses a lot of displaced persons from the northeast, some of whom may be sneaking in to foment trouble. Residents express hope that the modicum of peace in Plateau State would last for a long time to come.
Well, the price for safety, you may call it. Now to Taraba State. Students have been advised to inculcate the habit of reading, primarily to shape their lives and expand their knowledge in their field of study. This is a crux of discussion at a book launch titled Kilo's Introduction to Nursing, Research and Statistical Method, held at the College of Nursing in Taraba State. Udwa Godwin brings details.
One of the problems facing the academic system in Nigeria is reading culture of the Nigerian students. From the ongoing dispensation of the decline in the reading culture in Nigeria, it has, however, drastically reduced the applicability of intellectual reasoning into practice in solving a particular framework of problems. Today, the Nigerian student only reads when he has assignments, quiz tests, exams, interviews, thereby keeping other aspects of reading in state of dormancy.
We want to encourage the children or the pupils or the students to always inculcate the habit of reading, because when you read today, you become a leader tomorrow.
We live in a generation where the culture of reading has actually died, and it needs to be encouraged, it needs to be revived. Young ones need to be encouraged, like in those days where younger ones will read storybooks.
No doubt, this kind of reading culture do not only make the students dull, but also outdate the students' level of understanding and information acquiring. As this author believes, it is widely expected that as the students read other informative materials, it enables them to have ideas about other aspects of things going on around in the environment.
Why we have poor reading culture, we don't have classes, we don't have the library, so you find out that, let's say, okay, the student wants to read, and then there is no light in the class. The student wants to read, he has a poor furniture to sit on.
The outcome is, however, immediately shown as a proof to this. The increase in failures in Nigerian external exams is a garbage in, garbage out.
What normally happens is that if there's a deviation, if there's a disconnect from that approach, you find the bracket within which these young ones fall, a big absence, a big gap.
Students prefer to Google, get information, and just giraffe it, write it on the papers. They go back and sit down because what is required from them is there already. So it's better to go in and find out why is it that reading culture is dwindling.
The book Kilo's Introduction to Nursing is imperative to bring ideas on more innovative and creativity to young nurses. Udwa Godwin, CoreTV News, Jalingo.
Still on education, children as leaders of tomorrow have been urged to emulate good morals and leadership skills. Organizers of a one-day workshop on leadership ethics also charge youths to shun violence and corruption. Victoria Solomon has more in this report.
Some leaders are born, others are made. At some point in time, leadership skills are learned. While some children may appear more confident than others, this does not translate to having leadership traits or skills, one of which is the ability to make decisions oneself, being able to stand up to peer pressure and set an acceptable standard of behavior. Despite the myriads of challenges in today's Nigeria, children have been urged to emulate the best leadership skills.
The revolution we need is what Restart has embarked on, educating the teenagers and youths about leadership, true leadership ethics. Because if our minds are being liberated, if we have good concepts about leadership, you'll discover that value has a way of attracting values.
We want our students to grow up to become good leaders in the future. Leaders of integrity, leaders that fear God, leaders that are diligent in their duties, because these are our core values.
Being a good leader does not have to take anything. You just have to exhibit good characters and then let people know that you have good characters and then teach them how to have good characters and moral principles.
Children who grow up exploring and developing their talents are encouraged not to relent.
Parents are beginning now to listen to their children. They are beginning now to seek the consent of their children when they want to do things. You know, leadership is not just the government or the state, it starts from the home.
Parents and guardians believe that no effort put into raising future leaders is in any way wasted, as they encourage all to ensure a better society for all. Victoria Solomon, CoreTV News, Lagos.
You're on CoreTV Primetime News. Still ahead and report from outside Nigeria, Canada wildfire spreads. Details after this break. Do join us again.
With over 7 billion of world population and still counting, the world needs to hear you now than ever. Whatever your ministry or vision is, Gospel Africa will help get you there faster than you think possible. For inquiries and participation, contact 009 503 3859 or 0812 076 0011 or visit www.gospelafricang.com. Gospel Africa, your #1 media solutions for the church today. Gospel Africa, showing on this station at this time. CoreTV News now live on all Androids.
Welcome to CoreTV Primetime News.
Download CoreTV News app from your Play Store. Click on the menu to see all our top stories from politics, sports, business, foreign news and live TV to watch us live on your mobile.
I want to know why I should be believing them.
You can also click on video to see all our YouTube videos. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
Glad to have you back. Now to report from beyond the shores. Air quality warnings have been issued for Saskatchewan and Northwest Territories in Canada as a huge wildfire continues to spread. Now in its 7th day, the blaze has doubled in size. Hot weather and terrain. It covers an area of more than 700 square miles, is 2,000 square kilometers, and officials say only significant rainfall will be able to bring it under control. Locals have been advised to close windows and doors due to smoke. Report says the blaze has already spilled from the province of Alberta into neighboring Saskatchewan, but this has not been confirmed. And in Afghanistan, at least 73 people have been killed, dozens of others injured after 2 passenger buses and a fuel tanker burst into flames following a head-on collision in eastern Afghanistan. Many of the dead, including children, were burned beyond recognition as a result of Sunday's accident in Ghazni province near the Afghan capital, Kabul. A spokesman for the governor of Ghazni, Jawid Salangi, says The two buses carrying about 125 passengers from Kabul to Kandahar collided with the tanker, setting off a fire that quickly engulfed all three vehicles. Salangi says Afghan army units were rushed to the scene of the accident in Mukor district and managed to save some passengers, but many of the injured were in a critical condition. Spokesman for the governor of Eastern Ghazni province, Jawed Salangi, discloses that some documents showed that altogether there were 125 passengers traveling on the buses. Accidents are common in Afghanistan, where roads are often in a poor state and traffic rules are rarely enforced. Now, 3 Spanish freelance journalists who went missing in Syria last year and were believed to be Pampliga and Jose Manuel Lopez and Angel Sastre disappeared last July while working on an investigative report in the northern city of Aleppo, where other journalists have been captured in the past. In a statement, the Spanish government confirms the report says a plane brought them from Turkey to Spain on Sunday. No details were immediately available on how the 3 were released, but their release has been possible thanks to the collaboration of allies and friends, especially at the final phase from Turkey and Qatar. Now to some sports stars.
Power style, and that's what he delivered.
In sports news at this time, the League Management Company of Nigeria has fined Kano Pillars 2,400,000 naira for crowd trouble during and after a league match against champions Enyimba last Wednesday, which Pillars lost 2-1. The club will also pay 150,000 naira to the People's Elephant as repairs for the damage done to their team bus, as another 250,000 naira to the official who was injured during the incident. The Pillars fans impeded the game by throwing onto the pitch during the game, following Nzube and Azemba's equalizer. The situation forced the policemen at the Sani Abacha Stadium in Kano to fire tear gas in a bid to deter the unruly fans. The situation got worse after the game as the Pillars fans laid siege for the Enyimba team bus and attacked them, seriously wounding the Enyimba driver. In other sports reports, Manchester City were held to a 2-2 draw by Arsenal in Manuel Pellegrini's final home match in the Barclays Premier League, keeping Manchester United's hopes of UEFA Champions League football alive. United cut the gap to City to 1 point by beating Norwich City 1-0 on Saturday and can now go a point clear of their neighbours with victory over West Ham United on Tuesday, following Sunday's entertaining game at the Etihad Stadium. Also, Liverpool continued their excellent form at Anfield as goals from Joe Allen and Roberto Firmino completed a fine week with a 2-0 Barclays Premier League win against Watford. Finally, Stephen Davis boosted Southampton's European hopes with a goal in either half as the visitors came from a goal down to beat Tottenham Hotspur 2-1 in the Barclays Premier League at White Hart Lane. Finally, in sports, in some La Liga result, the Azulgranas ran out 5-0 winners over RCD Espanyol and depend on themselves to lift the league title on the last day of the season against Granada CF. Lionel Messi stepped up to take a free kick on the edge of the area, and the Argentines' pinpoint shot gave FC Barcelona an early lead. Messi's sublime shot saw the home side off to a good start as they looked to seal all 3 points. 2 goals from Luis Suarez and a goal each from Rafinha and Neymar pulled the icing on the cake. Elsewhere, goals from Ronaldo and Benzema was enough for Real Madrid to see off bottom table Valencia to move to second position on the table after Atletico Madrid had a 1-2 defeat to bottom-placed Levante FC. That is it on sports and on CoreTV Primetime News. Before we go, a quick recap of our top stories. Many thanks for being a part of CoreTV Primetime News today. On behalf of the entire production crew, do have a pleasant night rest. I am Abba